said something about, or I got the idea of a world enhanced by technology. That was the main, one of the main points that I got out of the talk. Let's dive into this subject more and tell us, please, how could we use the technology and the industry that you're working with in order to exactly do that, enhance the world through technology?
Yeah, part of the talk was that through technology we could enhance the world. Enhancing it can mean many things. It could be from getting information from different buildings or places around a city or anywhere in the world. It could mean getting information from different sensors. So I know if you have a temperature sensor and you want to be able to translate it so that we understand it, because we naturally do sense temperature, but we are not that good. Bodies. Yeah, and so but temperature is one example. There are different examples of senses we do not have, yet there are ways to measure them, and we could convert that into something that we would better understand by sensing it via hearing. And that's not done yet. It's not that there's something that we can currently use technology in that way to enhance our senses, although we are getting there rapidly. And perhaps the more important point I try to make is not just of enhancing the world, but that of, at this point, be mindful of how we use technology, of how we use these headsets in particular.
And how this shifts the way we do things on a day-to-day basis.
On a daily basis.
Okay, okay. There's another thing that has to do, or most of the work that you do has to do with sound. Backtracking this to some of the moments that were the tip of the iceberg for you to go on this path. What were those moments? Your transformation moments that led you towards this path, following your work on this industry.
When you say this path, you mean?
The work that you do in this industry and creating
sound devices, wearable devices,
in this technology.
I think it was natural. So I started as a musician. By profession, by studies, I'm a musician. I do not live out of music. I don't perform for a living. And from that, I moved into developing software for musicians so that they could record their albums or mix them or even make them like synthesizers. And things led slowly into a path in which I was part of a very interesting project where we developed different sound devices, wearables, that they have capabilities beyond the normal just listening capabilities. They're like open ear. It's one concept in which you don't stick anything into your ear. There's sound that beams to your inner ear, and many other features like head tracking that I talked about and other things.
If we were to choose bits of your experience so far and those moments that were groundbreaking for you to choose one path or the other, could you help us in point out some of the markers that could that we could watch out for, and that actually trigger change, that actually announce a major change that's about to happen for a person? What were your experiencing? What were your experiences before going out through a major change?
If I understand correctly, this is a question about my life and changing my life.
Getting from your experience some of the markers, some of the some of the moments that are announcing a major change about to happen
in my life.
From your life, yeah. But we'll generalize this as creating, like a tip and tricks for people watching the interview.
Yeah.
It's a backtracking process, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So the first thing I would say is that as much as I always thought that I could predict what would change my life, like I make decisions that I think they will be the ones that will change my life, it ends up not being those. It ends up being that there are things that I did not plan, I didn't think about, I didn't really consider that would make a change, and it ends up happening because that's what life does. So while I can go back, I can just say that they weren't premeditated. It just happens that I would like to think that I make an effort to do things well wherever I am, and that has helped that in a way that it got me to develop in different areas. I'm curious. I think curiosity, if I'm going to say a key, an asset of something that will make people be able to pivot, flexibility of being able to pivot and to change into something that might be calling you or something that it might be more interesting at a time, then that's important. Because if you are stuck in going in one direction, you might never get to do something that could have been a better outcome for your life. That said, I've heard the opposite story also, which is you persist and you persist and you persist and you persist until you get something. So I think there's value on both sides. It just, ultimately, you need to work hard, I think.
Okay. Is there anything from this experience of TEDx Bucharest this year, and we're again thankful that you were part of it, that makes you now say something, or share us some of your thoughts, some of your impressions, something that this experience played a role on you these days or these months, actually, because there's a lot of work to do before people seeing you on stage.
Yeah, of course. That one I can answer easily. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's actually, it's amazing. I'm not a public speaker. I don't speak publicly at all, ever. So that was new. Talking about your last question, changes, you need to be open to trying things, even though that's not what I do. It sounded like an amazing opportunity.
Walking the talk.
Exactly.
Can you tell if something out of this experience, came into you? Yeah,
the first thing is I of course knew of TED and TEDx. I've watched many videos, but I wasn't necessarily super into it. I watched things before because there are interesting talks that friends sent me, or that I heard that there was something interesting and I did. This time, meeting all the other speakers, it was amazing to be part of the conference. I think now I'm going to make a point in going to more of these events. And I also found very interesting that even though we all talked about different subjects, most of us had the same message, or a very similar message, that if I'm to oversimplify, it's that we need to do something, because we're about to just collapse the whole humanity. And I know we know about that, there's no news there, but it's interesting that it's a common subject, even when we're talking about very different things and from very different backgrounds.
Okay. So taking action. If we were to go further and oversimplify things, as we do with TEDx Bucharest, we've chosen the theme of Metamorphosis for this year, and you've aligned your experiences and sharing your experiences towards this theme. But now here's a challenge: choose a word, or just a couple of words, that best describe you at this moment. As if it were to give a theme to your life, or a title, or a heading. What is it, if you were to choose? Or a sound?
Yeah. So the first word that comes to mind is motivation. It's difficult to, at least for me, I think for many human beings, to find this might sound depressive, it's not at all, to find a reason to be in this world, to find the meaning of life.
But being in the search of it, I think it's the positive side of it.
Right, but it's easy to understand how little and insignificant we are, not as people, also as people, but even the whole world. Our planet in this vast universe, whatever, we're nothing. And so when you think about it that way, you're like, well, it doesn't matter, whatever happens. Yet we are wired to actually find meaning as human beings. And things like this, they, at least this one, woke me up a lot, because as back to what I was saying of acting, it's very easy to sit down and like, oh, there's a bottle of water, it's a plastic bottle, I'm thirsty, I'm going to have it. And that's perhaps a stupid example, but it's an example that shows that we need to not be that careless about our world, our lives, because as much as we might not find meaning, we're still here and we're still living it and we're still experiencing, and our brain still captures things as if we're the most important thing in the world. And so we need to take care of our world and our society and our everything.
Thanks for pointing that out, and thank you for your contribution to what happened here. Thanks again.
Thank you.